Welcome to episode 107 of Uncovering the Corners of the World podcast. I'm your host, Karina Kasmala, using research and my personal experiences where I actually set foot in some of these places. I'll be describing some of the unknown attractions in both the US and around the world, as well as share some of the hidden landmarks of some well-known places. In episode 106, Collin, who hosts the podcast's History from the Back Pages, Chicago Soccer Talk with Collin, and co-hosts the podcast The Bull and Hog Sports Show, talked about his trip to New Mexico, which included a tour of art museums, churches, and indulging in local cuisine. If you haven't listened to episode 106, I recommend starting with that episode first. In this episode, he continues talking about some of the towns and cities he visited in New Mexico and the culture.
And then we also went to the San Francisco AC Church. That's a very historical church. This one's very small, nondescript Catholic church, but it's very old. It's been there hundreds of years. It's definitely a highlight because I bought a mug there, not in Taos. I think it was in Santa Fe, but it's a picture of the church. I collected coffee mugs from my dad because he loves coffee mugs, so I collect him ones from places I go. So if I go there, I'll buy them.
I was going to ask, how is that church different than the previous ones where you
this one is in the Pueblo style. So Pueblo architecture is very common in New Mexico. And this was just a Pueblo. So it was made out of Pueblo stone compared to the St. Francis Cathedral in Santa Fe, which was like a ginormous, different type of cathedral. And this place we went inside, but it's very small. Like it's a very small chapel. They still held service, but it's a lot smaller. Like I think it's not one you would think of unless like the history of it or like it's somewhere that like speaks to you. We enjoyed it. I think that's what we did in Taos mainly. We went to the Kit Carson Museum and the church. Another thing we did was went to the Bandeliers National Monument. So that was closest we went to in terms of like a national park. Not near Taos, but it's like farther out too, like in a different direction. So that was fun to go there, up in the mountains again. They had a lot of famous cliff dwellings and like homes that like the Native American tribes lived in long ago. So they lived up high in the caves. So like they would use ladders or like climbing to get into the caves above where they would stay. So like cave dwelling people.
So similar to what I saw, I assume, what I saw in Arizona that had Walnut Canyon, and they had cliff dwellings, but they were made out of stone. They're little homes.
That sounds like that. This is similar. That was very enjoyable. Bandeliers National Monument. I recommend going there because it's a good hike. Because you can hike a lot. I think it was like a 2-mile hike, so it's a good amount. And there's different difficulty levels. So if you're looking for the main path stroll, which is what we did, it's more doable. Or if you want to go like off the beaten path, more difficult, you can.
Which one did you choose?
The first one, like the beginner one. We had never been there, and this one gave a good scenic view of everything, and it made sense to do it because you got to see the cliff dwellings, and then they would have like ruins in the middle of like the grassland area as well where they'd live as well. So like ancient ruins. Other highlights we did, this was back to Santa Fe, but I had forgotten about them. But now looking at them again, I remember. We went to the Museum of International Folk Art. That was a very good museum. They had lots of different folk art from New Mexico, or like other internationally as well, because they want to have like countries that were more islander showed on display as well.
Was it just paintings, sculptures, a mix of both?
All of the above, like fiber arts, paintings, sculptures, quilts, rugs, like all of the above. And then they had one exhibit on display that was like miniatures. Those are kind of fun to look at. And then one on Poland randomly, which was fun.
That is interesting.
It was like of different countries, and it was about Poland. I'm like, oh, Poland. So that was kind of fun. We also visited this store. It was like a Polish store. I wanted to buy stuff there, but it was out of my price range.
Hold on. There was a Polish store in New Mexico?
Yeah, I wanted to go to it. It got like 4.5 stars on Yelp. I was like, I got to go to this Polish store. It's supposed to be like made in Poland artwork that was brought to New Mexico. So like the man who owned the place that I talked to is from Poland. I think he was from out like southern Poland, and he made his work and moved to New Mexico to retire, and so he had it from Poland to sell it in New Mexico. Let's see, where else did we go? Oh, we went to the San Miguel Church, another church. I know we went to a lot of those, but this one is supposed to be the oldest church in the whole United States because it's in traditional, original adobe walls, and they're built by Indians from Mexico from around 1610. Another thing we enjoyed was we got to see this huge competition from one of the tribes on the res that did like hula hoop spinning. That was like the competition. Like they use hula hoops and to do different moves, and like they have to do it for a certain amount of time, and they get scored on points.
What was the longest time?
They were long ones. Like some of the people were doing like 5 minutes with the hula hoops, and they can't drop them or they lose points. Should they have them like on their wrists or their hips or their feet, so they'd be spinning and using them like different methods to get points. It was very popular. It was a full crowd, and we just happened to be there because we went to the International Folk Museum and the Indian Arts Museum, so we happened to be there. The Indian Art Museum was cool too. They had a lot of historical Native American art, and some of it was from the certain tribe who was doing this competition. A few things left. We also went to this ruins. The name's escaping me. I did not take any photos because it's one of the few living tribes that still live there in this dwelling. So like it was private land, so I didn't take any photos because that would have been like inappropriate.
What did it look like? Did it look like it was preserved in that on a certain time period, or did they like adapt to 21st century kind of situation, 2025?
Most of it is from long ago living, like they live a modest lifestyle, but they have used some stuff with more modern day, like gas and heat. So they do have some modern day amenities. A lot of it is more traditional, living off the land. They have a river through town, so they use that for their water source and use a lot of what God has given them for land. And they also had a Catholic church too in town. We got to tour that as well. Because they have some of the community goes to the Catholic church for mass. Some believe follow like the tribal god. That was interesting to go to the church.
Were all, including the church, were all the buildings also modest looking?
Like modest adobe structures. It was very interesting to go there because it was more like not a ghost town. It was like a town. People really lived there, but also like people toured it. Like they had tours they took to visit the town. But we didn't really see any of the people because most of them were inside.
Oh, you didn't enter any buildings?
Well, we got to enter a few because there were stores. So like if it was stores and the door was open, you could go in.
Okay.
But if it was closed, of course, no, because people live there, so that would be inappropriate. But some of the stores, they were shopkeepers who are members of the community, and they sold stuff. So they wanted people to come in and meet them, which was nice. It was a nice community, and the young woman and tour guide did a good job, and she lives in the community, and she's going to college at the moment. What college she's going to is escaping me, but it was a local nearby one. No, they could do a job, and they talked a lot about the hardships the communities went through, but also the blessings the communities received, because they fought other tribes during that period, and the Spanish came there to attack their community. Because it was long ago, like it's been around for a long time.
I don't know if you'll have the answer to this, but did they mention if their children also stay in that community, or do they leave it?
I think some of the people stay there, some move on, but a lot from what they discussed, a lot of the people who live there are descendants from like the original people. Like they've been living there forever, which is nice because it was interesting. And then I think I have one more place to discuss, and then I think I've discussed almost everything. This one was fun because we went to the town of Madrid, New Mexico, and it's not called Madrid. So don't go there and be like, oh, it's Madrid, Spain. Nope, that's not how it's pronounced.
Did you know that before you went?
No. I did not. I only learned that once I went in there and it said, welcome to Madrid. I was like, okay, it's not Madrid then. But I was the one who wanted us to go there for one specific reason. Because there's this famous tavern there called the Mine Shaft Tavern. And the reason I wanted to go there is because one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Longmire, was filmed there. So the Mine Shaft Tavern was used as the Red Pony Tavern in the show. That was where it was filmed. And the Red Pony is this tavern.
Oh, how cool. Is it as close to what you saw in the show, or what did they just use certain aspects of that tavern?
Almost the same. Like, it seemed really similar. Like, of course, it's a little bit different. Like, the atmosphere is a bit different because it's supposed to be in Wyoming, the TV show, not New Mexico. But, like, the outside was really the same because it's a biker bar in the TV show and for real. So it's a biker tavern. So it's utilized the same.
How cool.
And it was cool to see, like, they really used it. Like, this is where Longmire was filmed. And there's fun fact, a lot of TV shows and movies have been filmed in Madrid. Like, the Lone Ranger, the reboot, came out like maybe more than 10 years ago, was filmed there, which was cool. And the Wild Hogs movie was filmed there, so a lot of different movies were filmed there. And it was cool to go to the Mine Shaft Tavern because the food was amazing. And also the history of it, so that was cool. They had this amazing burger with like green chilies. There's like green chilies and on this burger is delicious. I would definitely go back to the biker bar. Mine Shaft Tavern was super cool. And it was movie night the day we went, so that was cool.
What was the movie?
It was that movie with, I think it's Eddie Murphy, and then that other guy. It's one where like they change places. Like the one guy's some rich guy and the other guy's not.
Okay.
I'm blanking on the name. It's a comedy.
Yeah, okay. I thought it'd be more fitting, like, hey, we're playing a movie that was filmed here.
That would have been actually fun. That would have been cool, like they played Wild Hogs or something. But no, it was like a comedy. No, it was really well done, and I gave them 5 stars, the Mine Shaft Tavern. So if you're ever in Madrid, randomly go there. It was like 30 minutes from Santa Fe, so it was more doable. Oh, and then I forgot one other place then I think I finished. We also went to the opera, the Santa Fe Opera.
For a show or just to see the...
A show.
What'd you go see?
I am honestly blanking. The only bummer was that they have like 4 shows that season.
Okay.
And it was the only one that was not sung in a different language. It was in English, which was a bummer. I wanted to see one that was a different language. Because they had one that was coming was in German, one was in Italian, one was in Spanish. So of those languages, it was the only one that was in English, which was fine. But like opera is cool because you can hear a different language sung. It was one where there was a son, there was a nanny who took like charge of the son because it was one of those households with a nanny. And someone had died. Like there was 2 people who died. Like the previous nanny had died, and then this young man was like the lover who died.
Oh.
So like they were haunting the family, but like only certain members of the family could see the ghosts, others could not. It was just one of those classic like British ones because I know it was English, but it was set in England. It was set in England. I think it was supposed to be like the 1800s, like 100 ago. I think that's it for New Mexico. But I had a great time, and I would totally go back again.
Would you go back to the same places, or do you have any specific area you'd rather go in New Mexico?
I'd probably try going to Las Cruces instead, like southern New Mexico. Try something different. And it's a good opportunity, too, because if you go to southern New Mexico, you're closer to, like, Texas. So you could go to, like, El Paso, which is not that far. So you can see both, like, Las Cruces and El Paso.
Thank you, Collin, for sharing your adventures in New Mexico, and thank you to everyone for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out his podcast, Chicago Soccer Talk with Collin on YouTube, and History from the Back Pages in the Bull and Hawk Sports Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you find your podcasts. Have a great week.